You mentioned the injury, and I wanted to ask you about that because it is a life-changing moment, and it's one of those that if you're a sports fan, not just a Steeler fan, but around the world on Monday Night Football. I'm from Cincinnati. I covered the Bengals the last 5 years, so I clearly remember that day. How does that change your life, and does it start that moment when you realize this doesn't feel right?
I think that moment, my life probably changed even a little bit before that moment. Because I wasn't even supposed to play in that game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if God was sending me a signal or whatever, but I was hurt. I didn't practice the whole week. And just mentally preparing, like, hey, Ryan, you're going through a lot right now, but mentally preparing my brain to play or fight through an injury when I probably should not have played. And then once I got injured, my life completely changed because as any athlete, you think, oh man, I can bounce back from this. I can overcome this. And I feel like I did bounce back in the way of being a human. But as a football player, I didn't bounce back the way I wanted. And my life completely changed because I was expecting one thing. I kind of already knew what the plan was going to be. I kind of already seen the vision.
Yeah.
And, they changed the act on me. It was in the middle of the show. It was like, hey, chapter 2. And when you watch movies, sometimes they be like part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah.
And I think that was just part 1 for me. And I think it was really difficult to deal with it. Going into part 2 and chapter 2 because that was the grind. Just that was the resiliency that I had built up from earlier, just understanding how I would deal with adversity. But it definitely changed my outlook and how life was because I thought I was going to be able to play football for 15 years.
Right. And those goals that you have as a kid to play college ball, to get to the NFL, and you were a star for the Steelers, playing a position where you hit hard. I'm sure you looked up to guys like Ray Lewis and the ones that had a long-standing career and wanted to join him in the Hall of Fame. At what point did you realize or tell yourself this wasn't a torn ACL, that I am paralyzed, and this isn't going to be a recovery of 6 months to get back on the field? It could be a long road.
Yeah, so I was kind of in denial at first. I was kind of dealing with stress, and I'm just a very positive person. So I just the outlook I had on it was like, man, I'm gonna get through this no matter what. I can beat this, and probably I would say 2.5, 3 weeks into the journey. I would say probably like a 2.5, probably like a week and a half into the journey. I was like, oh man, like, yeah, this is something I'm not gonna be able to bounce back right away from. And I was like, I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to overcome it. But I was like, yeah, I am paralyzed. I am messed up pretty bad. And at that moment, I was like, I got to turn things around. I got to really focus on how to get better because I didn't want to sit and be like, oh man, I'm paralyzed. I'm never gonna get better. I still wanted to play in the NFL. I still wanted to achieve all the goals I wanted to achieve. So I just put that mentality into every single day I did rehab.
How do you have that positive outlook? I'm sure shock was the original thing when you're in the hospital, and you have that positive mindset of, all right, this is just like any other injury. I can get back out there. But when you're in the hospital and you're there with you and your wife and your family week after week, did you have dark days, and how low did it get for you?
Yeah, I definitely had dark days because if you didn't, people have their best life. I guess LeBron even had bad days,
Yeah.
Like, Patrick Mahomes had bad days, and they're some of the best athletes in the world right now. And if I'm going through this type of adversity and don't have a bad day, that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I had some bad days. I had some days where I was down. I had some days where I was upset, sad. But my family, they understood the type of person I was. I was just a really positive person. I always like to make people laugh. I always like to joke around.
Right.
Even when I was at rehab, I'd joke around and laugh. And
You just got that infectious personality.
Yeah, and I think that just really helped me out when it was coming through this injury because when I did have the bad days, my family would crack a joke or they will do something that will make me smile or laugh or they'll just do something to uplift me. And every single time they did it, it just kind of turned me around. I might
Yeah.
be down for one day, and then I get a month or two, and I'm back to normal,
Yeah.
But then, I have a down day again. It's just one thing my family did a really good job of. They just held me accountable of the goals that I set for myself when it came to playing football and just the injury. They was like, hey, Ryan, you say you want to get better. You say you want to do this. You want to do that. And they held me accountable for every single day.
I heard you mention before first downs and touchdowns with your dad, I think, in the hospital. That mindset is something that I find really cool in a moment where you could go into a deep depression and could think, all right, I'm never going to get out of this. The goal is to play football again, but you had those first downs, those touchdowns. Can you explain what those are? Because I find it really inspiring to me.
Yeah, so in any sport that you play, well, I don't know how cricket and all those sports are, but
I have no idea either.
Yeah, but like if you play, tennis, if you play baseball, if you play basketball, it's always you have to get those short-term goals to get that win, to get that touchdown.
Yeah.
So in football, a first down is a short-term goal. It's a short-term, just short-term happiness to end up reaching your long-term goal. So it's a 100-yard football field. If you get 10 first downs, you're going to score a touchdown in football.
Yeah.
Most likely, you only need about 5 or 6 on the drive, and you most likely would score a touchdown.
Right.
But and that's kind of how I really broke it down. You get through each inning, you know what I'm saying? Every time you get a
Working
single.
as a pitcher, trying to get through that order.
Yeah, once you get a single, boom, now you got somebody on base.
Right.
And then you keep getting singles, you're going to mess around and get a run.
Right.
And that's kind of the same type of situation that I had when it came to my injury. I was like, if I keep getting these first downs, eventually a big play is going to happen. Eventually a touchdown is going to happen. And that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, oh, that's another first down. That's another first down. That's another first down. Then I see me do something that I was like, oh, man, I really want to do that. That's a touchdown. I really want to do that as a touchdown. So that's kind of how I really broke it down.
So those first downs, what I would imagine would be being able to get up and take those first couple steps and then maybe 10 steps. What was the touchdown moment? Was that being able to walk?
No, so it just every phase is different.
Yeah.
A touchdown for a parent is their kid being able to first stand up. That's a touchdown. They've been crawling and it's, oh, man, they finally stood up. But then after that, it's like, all right, now they're walking. So at one moment, a touchdown for me was just actually being able to wiggle my toes, to be able to wiggle my ankle, to be able to lift my knee up at a certain point because I wasn't able to do it. Then after a while, I was walking. And then a touchdown went from, walking with braces, that was a touchdown at one moment, to now that's a first down. And every single day I'm getting better to actually walking with, a new device, with canes, or walking with a walker, or walking without any restraints.
Yeah.
And then, another touchdown was, walking at the draft. So
that was an amazing moment.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that, but that was one that really hits you.
Yeah.
I'm sure for you that was emotional.
Yeah, it was very emotional because it was a combination of a lot of people were trying to see how I was doing, but a lot of people didn't know how I was doing. And I felt that was a good way of, letting people know that I'm doing a lot better.
Yeah.
But then also just, to me, that was just thank you for all the prayers and all the support because the one thing that I really love about sports is it doesn't matter if you like the Cincinnati Bengals, you like the Browns, or you like the Steelers or the Ravens. When it comes to football, they all hate each other.
Yeah,
but when
especially the AFC North.
Yeah, but when it comes to just life and when it comes to things that are more important, people rally together and just want the best for others. And to me, that really meant a lot, that people were praying for me, people were wishing the best for me and supporting me. And to me, that was like a thank you and just letting people know that I'm getting better.
It is incredible how the football community does come together, not just during the season when everyone's having fun rooting for their team, but when something tragic does happen. Obviously, you went through physical therapy and had to get back to using your legs and your feet and your toes. Did you have to go to just therapy and have help with your mental health? Did depression sink in or has it ever in your life has therapy been a thing for you?
Yeah, so I actually went through therapy at first when I was at Ohio State.
Okay.
They had
they have a great department for sports psychiatry.
Yeah, they had sports psychiatry, and to me, it helped out a lot, and because I was going through a lot, and then one of the coaches was like, "Hey, Ryan, we recommend you go to a sports psychologist because, I just had a lot going on with my girlfriend, and then it was just a lot of adversity, just a lot going on, and then also being at Ohio State, everybody's wishing, the best for you, but also it's a lot of pressure playing at a school like Ohio State, playing at a school like Georgia, Alabama,
Yep.
those big time schools, because all people expect out of you is winning. They don't expect
Yeah.
anything else, you know. So, and that's what you ask for. So my first time was going to Ohio State. I had sports psychology. I went through sports psychology, and I had sports psychologists, and they helped me out a lot. And then I ended up while I was in the NFL, I actually didn't talk to nobody that much, and I wish I probably did, you know, a little bit more. But after the fact, I would talk to somebody here and there. The Steelers have a good guy named Dr. Nash. I would talk to him here and there when I was going through my injury. But one thing that I think I did a really good job of is when I was actually going through something, I had a tough time. I always talk to my family. I always talk to my best friends, and one of them is like a psychologist. He's not. That's not his job, but it's just the way he understands how to, you know, be unbiased and give just authentic support. Really helped me out a lot. And he was kind of like he's still kind of like my psychologist. I could talk to him all the time, and I'll just talk to my wife and my family. And then when I would have times when I would get depressed or I'll be sad, I'll let them know. And then if it was just too much for them, they was like, "Hey, Ryan, I think you should talk to somebody else that's unbiased." And, you know, I would here and there. But I definitely needed it the more and more I was dealing with my injury.